Hello, my name is Olivia O'Brien and I'm a master's student at Virginia Tech studying secondary social studies education. During this vlog, I will be discussing my research paper titled Implications of Prior Knowledge on Secondary Social Studies Students. Before writing this research paper, I had little experience with students' prior knowledge and didn't know how to tailor instruction to meet the needs of my students with different prior knowledge. While conducting my research, I realized every student that comes into my classroom will have varying levels of prior knowledge, and it's my job to anticipate and understand that. For this project, I interviewed two high school students. The two students I interviewed are siblings and come from a middle-upper class family. They both attend a public high school in Northern Virginia. My first interviewee, Edward, is a white male in 12th grade. My second interview, Mary, is a white female in 10th grade. I chose these two students because they both claim to strongly dislike social studies. They are also nearing the end of their public social studies education, so theoretically they should have learned most of the Virginia SOL standards. I asked my participants to arrange 10 historical images in chronological order. I pre-selected 10 photographs, drawings, or engravings that span from the 16th to 21st centuries. These images show diversity, technologies, culture, and major historical events of the time. Both my participants were fairly accurate in arranging the images. They mixed up a few images, but overall were surprisingly accurate. Next, I asked them content-based questions on history and government. Since they both claimed to hate history, I thought they wouldn't do well on the interview. I was surprised at how much Edward remembered and how little Mary remembered. Edward was able to answer almost every one of my questions with great detail, while Mary stumbled over most of the questions. I learned a lot about students' prior knowledge while conducting this research. Firstly, I learned that even students who claim to hate social studies are capable of remembering and analyzing information. Even if they dislike social studies, they can still do well in this class. When students say that they hate social studies, teachers should not assume that they have no prior knowledge. Edward said social studies was his least favorite class, but still knew so much of the content. Teachers cannot disregard students who say they hate history. Teachers must make the content more engaging for students in order for them to remember more of it. Second, I learned that students have difficulty connecting to the big picture. For example, they can remember specific instances in history that are constantly reinforced, but they don't understand how specific events relate to history as a whole. My interviewees discussed events in history that I remember being drilled into my head in history classes. There are specific events in history that are highlighted in the SOLs. Teachers make sure that students know these specific events and vocabulary words, but do not focus on the bigger picture. My students were able to talk about the shooting of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the sinking of the Lusitania, but they couldn't describe these events any more than that they were simply important. So many facts are ingrained into social studies students' heads that they aren't able to analyze the facts and look at the bigger picture. Lastly, I discovered that teachers need to differentiate lessons based on students' prior knowledge. Every student that enters my class will have different levels of prior knowledge. Some will already know the whole curriculum, and some will have difficulty remembering what they learned in any social studies class before. Students who already know most of the information cannot be bored in my class, while students who have no prior knowledge on this topic cannot fall behind. While conducting my research, I learned how important prior knowledge is when building a curriculum. It is crucial to know how students think and what they understand